Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam, dear devotees. Today we are reading the book The Path of Perfection by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. We shall read page number 7. Services means activity. For when we serve someone, we are acting. When we serve Krishna, we are preaching Krishna consciousness, or cooking, or cleansing the temple, or distributing books about Krishna, or writing about Him, or shopping for foodstuff to offer Him. There are so many ways to serve. Helping Krishna means acting for Him, not sitting down in one place and artificially meditating. Krishna consciousness means activity. Whatever assets we have should be utilized for Krishna. That is the process of Bhakti Yoga. Krishna has given us a mind, and we must utilize this mind to think of Krishna. We have been given these hands, and we must use them to wash the temple or cook for Krishna. We have been given these legs, and we should use them to go to the temple of Krishna. We have been given a nose, and we should use it to smell the flowers that have been offered to Krishna. Through the process of Bhakti Yoga, we engage all these senses in the service of Krishna, and in this way the senses are spiritualized. In Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was refused to act, and Krishna was inspiring him to engage in activity. The entire Bhagavad Gita is an inspiration to work, to engage in Krishna consciousness, to act on Krishna's behalf. Krishna never tells Arjuna, "My dear friend Arjuna, don't concern yourself with this war. Just sit down and meditate upon me." This is not the message of Bhagavad Gita. We are not to refrain from all activity, but only from those activities that impede our consciousness of Krishna. Meditation means stopping all nonsensical activity. Those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness are constantly working for Krishna. A mother tells only her bad child to sit down and do nothing. If a child can do nothing but disturb his mother, the mother says, "My dear child, just sit down here and keep quiet." But if the child can work nicely, the mother says, "My dear child, will you please help me to do this? Will you go over there and do that?" Sitting still in one place is just for those who do not know how to work sensibly. As long as the child sits in one place, he does not raise havoc. Sitting still means negating nonsense. It is not positive activity. In negation, there is no life. Positive activities constitute life, and positive activity is the message of Bhagavad Gita. Spiritual life is not "don't do this," spiritual life is "do this." In order to act properly, there are certain things that one must know not to do. Therefore, certain activities are forbidden. The whole Bhagavad Gita, however, is do. Krishna says, "Fight for me." At the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, when Arjuna told Krishna, "I will not fight," then Sri Krishna said, "Kutastva kasmalam yidam visame samupastitam annaryajastam asvargyam akirtikaram Arjuna." My dear Arjuna, how have these impurities come upon you? They are not at all benefiting a man who knows the progressive values of life. They lead not to higher planets, but to infamy. Bhagavad Gita 2.2. Krishna directly tells Arjuna that he is speaking like a non-Aryan, that is, like one who does not know the spiritual values of life. So Krishna consciousness does not mean sitting down idly. Krishna himself does not sit down idly. All his pastimes are filled with activities. When we go to the spiritual world, we will see that Krishna is always engaged in dancing, eating, and enjoying. He does not sit down to meditate. Is there any account of the gopis meditating? Did Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sit down to meditate? No. He was always dancing and chanting Hare Krishna. The spirit soul is naturally active. How can we sit down silently and do nothing? It is not possible. Therefore, after Sri Krishna outlined the Sankhya Yoga system in the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna frankly said, Yoyam yogastvaya proktam sammena madhusudana itasyamana pashyami chanchalatvat stithim stiram. O Madhusudana, Krishna, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me. For the mind is restless and unsteady. Bhagavad Gita 6.33. Although Arjuna was highly elevated and was Krishna's intimate friend, he immediately refused to take up this Sankhya Yoga system. In essence, he said, "It is not possible for me." How could it have been possible? Arjuna was a warrior, a householder, and he wanted a kingdom. What time did he have for meditation? He flatly refused to practice this type of meditational yoga, saying that the mind is as difficult to control as the wind. Bhagavad Gita 6.34. That is a fact. It is not possible to control the mind artificially. Therefore, we must engage the mind in Krishna consciousness. Then it is controlled. If Arjuna found this process more difficult than controlling the wind, then what of us? After all, Arjuna was not an ordinary man. He was personally talking with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, and he proclaimed the mind to be like a great wind. How can we control the wind? We can control the mind only by fixing it on Krishna's lotus feet. That is the perfection of meditation. No one really wants to sit down and meditate. Why should we? We aren't meant for positive activity, for recreation, for pleasure. In Krishna consciousness, our recreation is dancing and chanting. And we get tired, we take prasada. Is dancing difficult? Is chanting difficult? We don't charge anything to dance in the temple. If you go to a ballroom, you have to pay to enter. But we do not charge. It is natural to enjoy music and dancing and palatable foods. These are our recreations, and this is our method of meditation. So this yoga system is not at all laborious. It is simply recreation, susukham. It is stated in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita 9.2 that this yoga is susukham, very happy. It is everlasting and it is joyfully performed. It is natural, automatic and spontaneous. It is our real life in the spiritual world. In Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, there is no anxiety. Vaikuntha means freedom from anxiety. And in Vaikuntha, the liberated souls are always dancing, chanting and taking prasada. There are no factories, hard work or technical institutions. There is no need for these artificial things. In Vedanta Sutra, it is stated, Anandamayo Bhyasyat. Vedanta Sutra 1.1.12. God is Anandamaya, full of bliss and pleasure. Since we are part and parcel of God, we also possess the same qualities. So the goal of our yoga process is to join with the Supreme Anandamaya, Sri Krishna to join his dance party, then we will be actually happy. On this earth, we are trying to be happy artificially and are therefore frustrated. Once we are situated in Krishna consciousness, we will revive our original position and become simply joyful. Since our actual nature is Anandamaya, blissful, we are always searching for happiness. In the cities, we are inundated with advertisements. Restaurants, bars, nightclubs, and dance halls are always announcing, "Come on, here is Ananda, here is pleasure." That is because everyone is searching for Ananda, pleasure. Our Society for Krishna Consciousness is also announcing, "Here is Ananda," but our standard of pleasure is very different. In any case, the goal, pleasure, is the same. Most people are hunting for pleasure on the gross material platform. The more advanced search for pleasure in speculation, philosophy, poetry, or art. The Bhakti Yogi, however, searches for pleasure on the transcendental platform. And that is his only business. Why are people working so hard all day? They are thinking, "Tonight I shall enjoy. Tonight I will associate with this girl or with my wife." Thus, people are going to so much trouble to acquire a little pleasure. Pleasure is the ultimate goal, but unfortunately, under illusion, people do not know where real pleasure is to be found. Real pleasure exists eternally in the transcendental form of Krishna. Perhaps you have seen pictures of Krishna, and if so, you have noticed that Krishna is always jolly. If you join his society, you will also become jolly. Have you ever seen pictures of Krishna working with a machine? Have you ever seen pictures of Krishna smoking? No. He is by nature full of pleasure, and if you unfold yourself in that way, you will also find pleasure. Pleasure cannot be found artificially. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitabhis Tabirya eva nijarupataya kalambi Goloka eva nivasti akhilatma bhuto Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, residing in his own realm, Goloka with Radharani. Resembling his own spiritual figure, the embodiment of the ecstatic potency possessed of the 64 artistic activities. In the company of her confidants, Sakhis, embodiments of the extensions of her bodily form, pre-meted and vitalized by his ever blissful spiritual rasa. Brahma Samhita 5.37. The word rasa means taste or mellow. We enjoy sweets or candy because of their taste. Everyone is trying to enjoy some taste, and we want to enjoy sex because there is some taste there. That is called Adi taste. Material tastes are different because they are tasted and quickly finished. Material taste lasts only a few minutes. You may take a piece of candy, taste it, and say, "Oh, that is very nice." But you have to taste another in order to continue the enjoyment. Material taste is not unlimited, but real taste is without end. Spiritual taste cannot be forgotten. It goes on increasing. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, this taste is always increasing. Spiritual taste is like the ocean in the sense, and it is very great. The Pacific Ocean is always tossing, but it is not increasing. By God's order, the ocean does not extend beyond its limit. and if it extends, there is havoc. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that there is another ocean, an ocean of transcendental bliss, an ocean that is always increasing. Anandam Buddhivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritaswadanam Sarvatma Snapatam Nam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. By chanting Hare Krishna, our pleasure potency increases more and more. One who has realized Sri Krishna is always living in Vrindavana, Vaikunta. Although a devotee may seem to be living in some place far from Vrindavana, he is always living in Vrindavan because he knows that Krishna is present everywhere. Even within the atom, the Supreme Lord is bigger than the biggest and smaller than the smallest. Once we are fully realized and established in Krishna consciousness, we never lose sight of Krishna and our bliss is always increasing. This is the true yoga system, Bhakti Yoga, as expounded by Lord Shri Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.